coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, and I'm rich in. Hey, shout out everybody out there on Team Banky Pam, man. I appreciate the love. Bam, boom, boom, bam, bam, bam. Ooh, I appreciate the support, man. 33 years of prison stories. Let's go, let's go, let's get it, let's go. 100K, baby, let's go. We almost there. We this close. Let's go get it. Big love on the back end of the video. Right now, man, I think I had a lot of people ask me this question about dudes that come into prison, man, and run their time up. I talked about it before about, I talked to y'all about a couple of people who did that, a couple of people who I know. Was a whole lot of people. I caught more time. You know, thank God it won't, where it wouldn't, let me get out at all. But that's a real live possibility when you go to prison. It's a real live possibility that you may end up with more time in prison than you came in there with. That's a real possibility. All depends on how you gonna carry it. How you gonna carry it, man? Because it's situations that's gonna come to you while you in prison that's gonna put you on the spot. And it depends on how you gonna handle that situation. You could be in a physical altercation whereas to you have to defend yourself, and that defending yourself does not, eliminate you from being liable for whatever you do. Because the state is still gonna press charges on you if you produce some type of violence. You can claim self-defense, you can holler self-defense. They're gonna still press charges on you regardless because that is their protocol. You're gonna have to prove it was self-defense. You're gonna have to prove otherwise of what they're saying, but they're gonna press charges on you just because of the simple fact that they don't want the lawsuit to come against them from whoever it is that got harmed, family, or whoever it may be. So these situations come up in prison, man. This is a part of doing time. You're not gonna be able to get around it. All that theory when people say, "Okay, I just go to prison and mind my business and woo wop woo," it don't work like that, man. In a different world, maybe it do. In the world that I know to be prison, it just don't work like that. It's situations, man. Dudes that came into prison, man, and then ran their time all the way up. And then you got to think about the dudes that was back there in the days in the 70s and in the 60s, 70s, and in the 80s. Man, them dudes in prison was going super duper hard, man. Them dudes was protesting. Them dudes was fighting against the police. Them dudes was trying to get better conditions from living like you in a third world country. They was getting dragged. They was getting carried, man. Everything was bad. And they weren't going for it. And they made stances. And some of them stances called people to get a lot of time. Some of them stances called people to get locked up in segregation and shipped to different prisons in different states and stuff like that. Some of those situations caused big riots where dudes went to war, even with the police, and dudes ended up getting more time. This is how Bo Billy got all of his time. You know what I'm saying? Not to get all into detail or nothing like that. But Bo Billy got his time for a big riot that happened back in the day in the war. And they claimed that Bo Billy was more or less the ringleader. And a lot of officers got stabbed. A lot of officers got hurt. A lot of officers had near-death experiences. You know what I'm saying? And they try to put a lot of that on Bo. And if I'm not mistaken, Bo got 40-something plus years. That's more time than he came in the penitentiary with. That's more time than he came in the penitentiary with. And we all know the story now that he pulling up on 50 years that he done did already. 50 years. You know what I'm saying? No breaks, no timeouts, no let me catch my breath. None of that go on in prison. So you talking about a man that came into prison with less time than he's already done. Less time than he's already done. And still fighting for his liberation, trying to get out. But if you in these situations, what's your alternative, man? To let somebody harm you, to get maimed, to get disfigured, or to protect yourself by any means necessary, or to be on the other end of that. Anybody who's trying to preserve their life will want to be on the other end of that than to be on the receiving end. But when you on the other end, if you the one who doing this, you gonna have to pay for it one way or another. The state is gonna make an example out of you. So, like I say, man, you between a rock and a hard place just by being in prison, because you may be put in these positions that you ain't asked to be in, but you in prison, and this is what comes with, So, yeah, man, Bo got more time than he came into prison with. And the thing about it is, when you get time in prison, it's like you gotta do that time. It ain't like, even if you was under the old law and you doing 65%, and then they change it now, you do 85%. But when you get time in prison, man, you doing that time flat time. They making you do that time flat time, man, almost like day for day. You doing that time. So you talking about getting 30, 40 years, 20 years, and your sentence is 8 years, and you get 20 years sentence. You got to do 20 years. If you 4 years in on your 8 year sentence, then you got to do 20 flat, and then they go back to calculating your time to the sentence that you came in with after you complete the state time that they gave you from being in there. You see what I'm saying? So it's this is a wicked game, man. This is a wicked, wicked, wicked system, dog. So you're put in a position where you may have to defend yourself and defend your life. And if you do that, you put in a position where you may not get out of prison. You may not get out of prison, but you preserve your life. You know what I'm saying? But you preserve yourself from getting maimed. You preserve yourself from losing an eye, from getting a colostomy bag, from getting your throat cut. But it's the price to pay for that is I might have to stay in prison forever. Come on, man. How can you win? How can you win? Like I told you, prison is lose lose. It's lose lose. Look at Shorty Pimp. To my understanding, Shorty Pimp came into prison with less than 5, or just 5 or less. He did over 40. He did over 40, man. And R.I.P. to Shorty Pimp, man, one of the legends of the Virginia penal system. And he just recently died. He didn't get it. I don't even think he got 5 years out here. I don't even think he got 5 years. I know he got a couple, but I don't even know if it was 5. It's somewhere up in there. You know what I'm saying? But he just made his stance when he came into prison. He's a revolutionary. He won't go for anything. He got caught up in some of the same stuff that Bo was caught up in. You understand? He got caught up in that same little situation. And he did over 40. Over 40 something, man. And came in there with less than a nickel. So these are real life scenarios and real life stories, man, that happen to people's lives to get, savaged up in prison, man, just because of the environment that they in, and just because of the stands that they gonna make. I gave y'all the situation with Ice. Ice went in there with under 5. Did 38 straight. 38 straight. Because every time you got to pick that Bethlehem up in there, it's a life or death situation. It's a life or death situation. And even if somebody don't lose their life, if you use that and they get hurt, they get maimed, they get disfigured, you going to court. And you rest assured that you going to court. And you get more time for that. And I told y'all how the time increments go. So you come in there with this sentence, and now you done got this incident, you done stressed it out. You done got this incident, you done stressed it out. You got another incident, you stressed it out. And you mess around, and then you got to try to outlive your sentence. Now you got to try to stay alive, still in these same conditions, still may encounter some more of these things, and you still trying to get out of prison, man. It just pushes you back further and further and further. It's a wicked system, man. It's just how it is. No one has changed it. No one has thought about trying to change it because they don't care, because it's at our expense. But it's a dangerous environment, and in order for you to survive, you're gonna have to be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, man. And I know many scenarios like this, man. Many, too many to even talk about in this video. Is a lot of dudes that came to prison and ran their time up. It's a lot of them. And the ones who didn't run their time up and been in those situations, they got hurt. They got hurt. Some of them got hurt beyond repair. I know dudes that lost their eye. I know dudes that got their throat cut. I know dudes that got big scars across their face. I know dudes that got colostomy bags. You know what I'm saying? I know dudes that just, submitted to things that they would never submit to instead of fight. and they keep that up off of them because they don't want to get no time. They don't want to stay in there longer. They don't feel they strong enough, whatever the case may be, and they don't want to eliminate the possibility of them going home no more. They don't want to eliminate they hate the environment that they in, so they don't want to do nothing that might keep them here longer, even if it means getting hurt, as long as they can live and try to get back out on the street. That's the position that they in. And then you got people that has the mentality like, well, if I'm gonna have to stay here for the rest of my life for defending my pride, my manhood, my dignity, then so be it. So be it. It's not what I want, but it's the position that I'm in. You got to pick the worst of two evils. You got to make a choice. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they make the other choice. And I don't knock nobody for what they do, because every man got to stand up for himself. Every man got to make his own decisions for his life and what's best for him. Now, do I think it's best for every man to try to get back home to his family? Yeah, I do. I think that should be your number one goal, to try to get back on the streets, because that's where everybody want to be. But at the same time, you got to have, you got to have something that you're going to stand on, man, because you going to always, ultimately, as long as you're alive, you're going to have to look in that mirror, and you're going to have to be satisfied with the man that you are. You're going to have to be satisfied that you are a man. And I don't think that, no sacrifice to keep that is yeah, I think that's what you have to do, man. I think anything outside of that, that's just me. That's just my philosophy. You know what I'm saying? Did I want to die? No. Did I want to stay in the prison for the rest of my life? No. But I still want to be able to look at me and say I know who I am. You know what I'm saying? And if I get killed in the process, then so be it. So be it. But I ain't gonna just let you do that. But some dudes, like I said, it's the mentality of the individual. And you gotta look at these dudes. A lot of people from the outside looking in and say, oh man, he went in the penitentiary with 5 years and he did 30 something, or he stayed in there 40 something. Man, he a fool. No, he a survivor. He a survivor. Did you ever even consider what would happen to him if he didn't do what he did? You gotta consider that too. If he didn't do what he did, he may not have made it out here. Even after 30 some years, even after 40 some years, even after 50 years, you still might not have made it out here had you not been the man you were in prison. Had you not stood on the 10 toes that you decided to stand on. Had you say, well, okay, this is what I'm not going for, and you enforce that. So it's a lot of ways to look at these things, man, and we just can't blanket somebody and say they ignorant or they stupid for going in and ended up staying. Then you got dudes in there, don't get me wrong, that do stupid stuff and catch time for some idiotic stuff. They catch time because they want to be a part of a gang and somebody done told you to go do something that you did not have to do. They catch time for being involved with gang and jumping somebody and doing something that you ain't had to do. I know some jokers right before I left. Them jokers just caught a mean case. I don't know what the outcome was, but I know they caught a mean case because it was gang related, and they jumped on the dude and they went in the cell and they beat him down, 6, 7, 8 of them, and they stomped them and pumped the head him, and the dude had hemorrhaging and the dude died. And then you got a body. Now you got a body for something that you was, partook in that you didn't have to, but you doing it because of what you affiliated with. The way I'm telling you is, if you got to defend yourself, your person, for some personal violations that's coming your way. I'm not talking about gang activity and all this. That's some stuff that, people, that's what they believe in. That's what they do. That's on them. They got to live with that. But it's like I'm telling you, it's consequences that come with that stuff, man. It's consequences that come with that. And I think a lot of dudes, the young ones, that they come into prison, they don't understand that. They just looking for that protection, that family, that something that's going to give them some type of security, that they ain't got to be worried as much as the next man is just coming in prison that's young because they're affiliated with these gangs. But what they're not considering is, when these gangs make a move or they bust a move, you the first one online. You might be the one they put the Bethlehem in their hand and tell you to go do this and that. Now you don't realize that when you go do that, the time that you may get for that may supersede the time that all of these dudes that's around you gonna get. You're going to be left in prison when they are on the street. So it's to no avail. But I don't think these youngins is thinking that far, because dudes is, I'm telling you, they catching cases in there with that gang activity, they giving them cases, dog. They taking them to court off the rip. You know, like the two youngers, they had to go stab the police on Wallace Ridge. They young dudes. Them dudes was under 25. Them dudes may not never see the streets again from taking orders. And the orders who they took them from is probably going to be out of the penitentiary decades and decades before they could even think about getting out. You see what I'm saying? So it's wicked, man. It's a wicked system, man. It's a wicked life. It's a wicked system and a wicked life, man. But them people have no problem, not one single solitary problem with trying to keep you in there for the rest of your life. With trying to let you leave out of there not horizontal but vertical. They have no problem with that. Not vertical but horizontal. Well, whichever one it is, you know, I ain't that bright. But you know what I'm saying. They don't have no problem with that. They don't have no problem with that, man. They want you. They ain't got no. They let your family worry about that. They let the people who love you worry about that. They don't care nothing about that if you leave up out there on the stretcher, cause they gonna fill your bed up within a couple of days. Somebody gonna be in there. As soon as the crime scene leave the spot and they get all the evidence that they need to get, they gonna put somebody else in your cell, somebody else in your bunk, and the show gonna keep on going. You know, so yeah, man. But you know, like I say, this little situations that I was in our court time, you know, I don't know, man. Maybe it could have been avoided. Maybe it couldn't have. I don't know. You know, I can't say. You know, it happened. It was done, and I'm fortunate. You know what I'm saying? I'm fortunate that I didn't get as much time as I could have got. I didn't get as much time as other dudes got. But at the same time, when you make your play, you got to make your play. When you make your stance, you got to make your stance. And guess what? You got to live with it. You got to live with it because it ain't no takebacks. You can't take it back. It's done. You know, it's done. And some dudes feel secure in that, man. They feel, you know, they feel a little regret, but they feel secure in the fact that they intact, man. They ain't got no extra holes in them. They ain't got no, you know, no battle defects that's gonna be, you know, visible for the rest of your life. And that's happening to dudes in there, man. They getting savaged in there, you know. But it's the choice that they make, man. But if they stand up for themselves, it's a fact that you at risk of keeping yourself in prison long. You at risk at getting some more time. That goes with the territory. That goes with the territory, man. And a lot of dudes have ended up like Archie. Remember my homeboy Archie? Remember I told y'all the story about Archie? And them dudes robbed Archie, and Archie, you know, I guess he thought about it. He thought about it. He weighed out his odds and ends, and when he had, you know, went for his revenge, you know, dudes got hurt. They got hurt bad. They got maimed. I think one dude lost his eye. You understand? And Archie got time for that. So much time that it drove him crazy. Because then I think the time that they gave him, it pushed him getting out in some years to possibly never getting out at all. And the next time I seen him a couple of years later, he couldn't even speak or wouldn't even speak because he lost his mind. You know what I'm saying? And that's for him retaliating for something that was done to him. And had he not did that, he couldn't have nothing for the rest of the time he was locked up because somebody was coming to get it. The wolves is coming to take it. You let somebody take something from you, everybody's going to take everything you got every time you get it. And he knew that. So he made a decision based upon his situation, and look what it cost him. It cost him decades more in prison and the loss of his, you know, his faculties. You know, he ain't right no more. He ain't right no more. He definitely not the same dude that came into prison. And I just seen him in the visitor room, and his people is discombobulated. You know, they discombobulated of who he is and what he is now because it's not the same person that came into prison. So this stuff will have a psychological effect on you as well, man. It will, you know, it will make you. That's why a lot of dudes go in prison and a lot of dudes lose their mind. And people want to laugh at him and joke at him and say, "Oh man, he went to prison. He crazy. Or yeah, you don't know what they've been through. You don't know what they've been through, dog. This is not no cakewalk, man. This is not no Disney World up in here, man. It's not no TV show and no miniseries or nothing. This is real life lost in here. Real life being lost in prison every day. Real minds being lost in prison every day. Real disfigurements is happening in prison every day. So you got to decide what you're going to do. But your decision, like I say, is going to be a lose-lose. You will win something. You will win, you know, from you getting harmed, from you getting hurt physically. But you will lose because they're going to hurt you in the other way, because you're going to have to be here a tad bit longer, if not, you know, twice as long as you anticipated being on there in there in the first place. So, you know, that's just reality of prison, man. So, yeah, man. So, with the person who asked about that, shout out to you, you know, about dudes catching time in prison. And I can tell you a lot more about it, because I know a lot of dudes that caught more time in prison. You know, I know dudes that done turned 3 years into 50, you know, 10 years into a life sentence, you know. So, it is. It's just a part of being locked up, man. So, the key is not to get locked up, because these are real life possibilities, man. Depends on what decision you make. But anyway, man, I just wanted to share that with y'all right fast. Y'all talk to me in the comments. I talk back. The only way I can talk back if I'm being talked to. So talk to me in the comments. I talk back. Appreciate y'all for listening to me. Like I said, it's a blessing in every lesson, man. And the blessing is, man, the trials and tribulations that I went through, the things I did that I felt like I had to do. I didn't get as much time as other people. I didn't get as much time as I could have got. And that's a blessing. That's a blessing, man, because I was, you know, I was in my element and I was doing what I felt like I had to do. So, you know, thank God I was with God in the squad, man, and things worked out the way they did, and I'm out here, man, to spread this message, man. So, yeah, that's the blessing, man. But anyway, man, appreciate everybody who rock with me, man. We're on the road to 100K. Appreciate everybody in that morning mud. I appreciate everybody who comes in at 6 o'clock, taps in with me, locks in with me, like, comment, sharing, and subscribing. Everybody who's been tapping into the late night chat, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Everybody who with the Banky Pound movement, man, I appreciate you. Big love, TBP Nation. Stand up. Let's go on the road to 100K. Let's go get it. Can't get it without you, man. Y'all be safe, be smart, make good decisions, and by all means, man. Bam, 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 boom. Bam, bam, boom, boom. Ooh. Summertime coming, man. Duck them hooks, man. We out here. Peace.
The Banky special. Yeah. Pure deliciousness. Pure deliciousness, man.
My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm going to have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in